Now at 6, Vice President Kamala Harris makes it official, accepting her party's nomination for president. We'll have all the highlights from night 4 of the Democratic National Convention, including reaction from former President Donald Trump.
And we are learning more about the man accused of shooting 3 people in Point Loma, killing 2 and injuring another. What's expected to happen today. Plus, when updated COVID-19 vaccines could be available as the summer wave of the virus continues.
You're watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
Good morning, San Diego. Well, thanks so much for waking up with us here on CBS 8 Mornings. It is 6 a.m. I'm Eric Connors.
And I'm Chris Grove in for Netta Ronpour, and something that we have been talking about and something that we have been enjoying, cooler temperatures.
It has been cool. It's been nice. It's cooler.
Yeah.
We got to keep the windows open last night, a little breeze, shut the AC off. I got my mid-use cycle report from SDG&E.
I turn
And you're
around.
like, please,
Yeah.
I'm
get out of my face.
Please.
I put on my clown face.
Let me shut it
That's
off.
exactly.
Yeah.
You took pride when you
Yeah.
pressed off on that thermostat.
Yeah.
Opening up the windows is a great idea. This morning, you can be doing it for the next several hours. We still don't have the sun up quite yet, and we're watching for mainly 60s out there as you step out the door. By the afternoon, you're going to be impressed. Look at this. We're only making it to 76 along the coast. Inland valleys that were once in the 90s and triple digits are going for 83 this afternoon. Mountains are hovering right around the upper 70s and low 80s, so we'll call it 80 flat. And then the deserts, look at that. If we only make it to 99 this afternoon in the deserts, it will be the first time since May that our afternoon highs have rested in the double digits and not the triple digits out there. Coming up, we'll talk about the cooler temperatures for tomorrow and through a good portion of the weekend. And then we'll talk about what happens beyond that. Back to you.
On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
The Democratic National Convention wrapped up in Chicago last night with Vice President Kamala Harris formally accepting the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. And in her acceptance speech, Harris laid out her policy vision for the nation and took on her opponent, former President Donald Trump.
Harris is the first Black and South Asian woman to officially receive a major U.S. party's presidential nomination. CBS News' Caroline Cummings has the latest now from Chicago.
A historic night in Chicago as Vice President Kamala Harris accepted the 2024 Democratic nomination for president.
America, we are not going back.
Harris vowed to create an opportunity economy, push for a Middle East ceasefire deal, and revive the failed bipartisan immigration bill. The former California Attorney General also made her case against former President Donald Trump.
In many ways, Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious.
Supporters at a watch party in Harris's hometown, Oakland, say the energy during the speech was electrifying.
You tear up because you know how important it is.
The theme of the final day of the Democratic National Convention was For Our Future, with the focus on some key domestic issues.
We have a duty to care for our patriots who serve our nation.
From the military to gun violence.
Our losses do not weaken us. They strengthen our resolve.
The night featured appeals from battleground state Democrats.
Kamala Harris, she gets us.
Are we going to fight? Are we going to vote?
And a former GOP congressman.
I'm putting our country first.
There were also musical performances from the Chicks and Pink. Caroline Cummings, CBS News, Chicago.
Former President Donald Trump fired off dozens of posts on social media during the last night of the convention. He asked where Hunter Biden was. He also said Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, a former high school football coach, was, quote, an assistant coach, not a coach. He also said, quote, Kamala's biography won't lower prices at the grocery store or at the pump. Trump also did TV interviews last night and slammed Vice President Harris's speech, claiming she did not give enough specifics. Former President Trump is continuing his battleground campaign, visiting Nevada before a rally in Arizona later today. He was in Arizona at the border yesterday discussing immigration. CBS News polling shows 87% of likely Republican voters see immigration as a major factor. Trump is using the issue to attack Vice President Kamala Harris.
Gets in, you will have coming across this border over the next 4 years 100 million people from all over the world. And they'll be from prisons and jails.
At the DNC, Harris said Trump contributed to the crisis by killing a bipartisan border bill. Trump says the bill wasn't strong enough. And to keep up with our 2024 election coverage, stick with CBS 8. You can also head to CBS8.com or download the CBS 8 app.
And let's get to our other top headlines. Later this afternoon, the man accused of shooting 3 people in Point Loma, killing 2 and injuring another, is scheduled to make his first court appearance.
Yeah, this comes just hours after San Diego police identified the suspect. CBS 8's Virginia Yarita live outside the downtown courthouse now, where he's expected to appear later in court later today. Regina, what are we learning about the suspect so far?
Yeah, guys, good morning. I can tell you that we have the name of the alleged suspect. Police are saying his name is William Bushy. He's expected to be in court today for his arraignment. Yesterday, we were at the scene, still seeing police officers gathering information, but that shooting took place on Wednesday at the 3600 block of Zola Street in Point Loma. According to San Diego police, they had received multiple calls about a possible shooting. When officers arrived at the scene, they noticed Bushy standing in front of the home where he and his mom live. They also found 2 people who had been shot and killed, and Bushy's 80-year-old mother was also wounded. Police say they located a shotgun near where he was standing and arrested Bushy. His mother was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. As for the 2 victims, they have not been identified just yet, but police describe them as a white woman in her 60s and a white man in his 30s. Now, the home where the shooting happened is just a block from Point Loma High School. We actually talked to nearby families about the incident. Take a listen.
A safe neighborhood.
This is unusual for this area, and we all kind of look out for each other.
And so that arraignment is expected to take place later this afternoon. We'll continue to cover this and, of course, bring you the latest details. But for now, I'm in downtown. Regina Urita, CBS 8.
All right, thank you, Regina. Well, after years of delays, more than $400 million in federal funds finally being spent to repair and expand the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant. Now, every day, tens of millions of gallons of raw sewage flows from Mexico into U.S. waters, which has shut down local beaches for nearly 3 years. Now, the first phase of this new contract allocates more than $42 million for the design portion of the project, a project whose timeline includes about 20 months for design and up to 5 years for construction. But they do expect it'll be completed in about 5 years because they can design and do that construction at the same time. The mayor of Imperial Beach says that no matter what, that timeline is not acceptable.
It's 5 years that my community cannot afford to continue to wait. This is precisely why we've been asking for the state of emergency from our president.
Mayor Aguirre also criticized the current project for not including infrastructure to divert and capture polluted water from the Tijuana River. And meantime, researchers at San Diego State University have successfully completed a study to track sewage in our waterways. They recently installed a sensor platform in the Tijuana River estuary as an early warning system. That will allow them to track contamination levels in real time.
Chemicals in sewage have a lot of fluorescence, and this intense red fluorescence here is what we picked up with our sensors that are located in the Tijuana River estuary.
Now, once a wastewater treatment system is brought into compliance, researchers say they will be able to better track and detect sewage. The wastewater treatment system is expected to be brought into compliance by October.
This morning, we're learning more about the deep-sea oarfish that was found in a La Jolla Cove earlier this month. Scientists at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography say they have finished the fish's necropsy. The fish was an adult male measuring about 12 feet long. They can normally grow up to 30 feet long, so this thing could have been double the size. The fish weighed 74 pounds. Scientists couldn't determine why it washed up in La Jolla, but it's believed it could have been injured, sick, or disoriented. La Jolla Shores, by the way, it's near 2 underwater canyons that funnel deep water close to shore, so we can get some of these cool creatures we don't normally get to see.
Was that like an ink? I wonder if
that was like the drawing of, yeah,
like,
like,
okay, because that looked cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That looked
the
cool.
fact that that was half the size of what it could have been, I mean, imagine if we would have seen a fish double the size of that, washed
This is why
up.
I choose to just not consider what's in the water around me when I'm in the ocean.
Or go too deep.
Exactly. I mean, I know there's plenty of wildlife out there, and I just choose not to think about it while I'm swimming in the water.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, you won't be taking any deep sea fishing expeditions and jumping in the water
Not going
anytime
for it.
soon.
No, I'm letting them enjoy it for now. I mean, you can get your toes in. I'd say it's a great weekend to get to the beach and enjoy the cooler, more mild conditions. But what I will say is that if you've been putting off, say, the mountain hike for the last several weeks because of how hot it's been, this would be a great weekend to consider going for it. 70s across the mountains today, tomorrow, even Sunday's relatively mild. We've got cloud cover that is patchy, but a bit more uniform than yesterday. There are still some spots, though, that are working through some pockets of sunshine. Here's the weekend beach forecast. If you're still going to opt for the coast, I mean, it's still going to be a gorgeous one. Just keep in mind we're a little bit cooler than last weekend and for many of the days prior to today. 74 for Saturday, 75 for Sunday. We'll have some clouds building in the overnight stretch. Those clouds will break apart as we get toward each afternoon. So that means that if you're out there in the early morning stretch, consider the possibility that you'll be socked in a bit, and then by the time we get to 11 a.m. noon, we're typically favoring a lot more sunshine. Look at these afternoon highs today. Santee and El Cajon, 84 degrees. Not too hot out there. 79 for La Mesa, 77 for National City, 75 in Coronado. La Jolla is going to max out in the upper 60s at 68 degrees for their afternoon high. Taking you up to North County, looking at a high of 78 in Vista. Escondido, 82 degrees. San Marcos, 79 as that forecast high. Again, a spot that is notoriously in the 80s, in some cases pushing into the 90s. Much cooler today, 79 degrees. Along the coastline, not all that much cooler than what you see inland. Still looking at mainly 70s out there. And then for the mountains, Julian, 78. Campo going for 85. Mount Laguna, 77 this afternoon. I want to take you to a couple things that we're watching as far as traffic goes this morning. First thing that I wanted to mention is that earlier, about a half hour ago, we were tracking on the A boulder that was on the road on the 8 eastbound before the El Cajon Boulevard exit. That has now been cleared. You're able to run through the 8 with pretty decent speeds out there because it is still pretty quiet. And it's a Friday, so we're typically a lot lighter in the morning commute hours. Looks like we have a stalled vehicle and a crash that just popped up on the 15. We'll bring you more details on that. You can also get those on our website, cbs8.com/traffic. Looking at border wait times as you head out the door. San Ysidro Port of Entry is taking quite a while this morning, running you about 2 hours in total. Otay Mesa Port of Entry going to get you across quite a decent amount faster, 45 minutes across the Otay Mesa Port of Entry. Back to you two.
All right, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Evan. Well, an update on the economy still ahead when Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is set to deliver remarks.
And we'll explain why the U.S. economy appears to be escaping a potential major blow.